Okay, Steve, thanks for coming on the show, episode 2 of the Engage Nation podcast. Let's get straight into it. I really want to get into the world of ICT. So, explain to me. It's I'm going to the footy on the weekend. I'm going to watch the mighty Geelong Cats at the G, probably get another win, see Jeremy Cameron kick 5. Where does ICT play a role in my experience on game day?
ICT nowadays is starting from your home, your experience on your mobile app, interacting with the clubs, interacting with the venue, all the way through to accessing the venue, getting to the turnstiles, getting to your first beer, getting to your seat, and then everything in between. So it's, you can book restaurants at the G, you can use your mobile app to find out where the queue is and which is the best place to go get your beer using their wait time integration. And then, once the venue's done, it'll tell you the best places to kick on afterwards, or even how to get home the safest way.
Amazing, brilliant. So let's rewind a little bit. How does this sort of thing become your specialism? I mean, sort of a varied background, but tell us a little bit about the path to getting where you are today.
Yeah, my background's always in IT. I started out in infrastructure, so networks, servers, storage, Microsoft Windows domains, things like that. And in 2013, there was a job ad out for Adelaide Oval looking for an IT manager for their stadium redevelopment, and I'm ongoing. So I was lucky enough to be awarded that position. That saw me delivering the technology for the south and eastern stands, bringing football to Adelaide for the first time, all the fun stuff of commissioning a brand new venue, dealing with construction, dealing with time pressures, delays. The Ashes was coming regardless of whether we liked it or not. Round 2 of football for the first game, Port versus Crows, was coming whether we liked it or not. So it was just about getting everything ready to deliver the best we can on those event days.
Amazing. So that was back in, was it 2013?
2013, yeah, correct.
That's some time ago now. It's quite a big project, mate. What was your major role coming into that, I suppose? What was the goals?
So the goal was, I guess, it was a new company. So the Stadium Management Authority was brand new, appointed by the government to take care of the venue. So my job was to come in and sort out both the back of house systems as well as the front of house systems and all the enabling technology between that. So that is, making sure the network was fit for purpose, the internet was resilient, the corporate systems were appropriate, integrated, set up. That was sort of my first interaction with SportsRM back at the time. We needed a ticketing and a corporate ordering portal solution because there wasn't one we could just buy off the shelf. So it was about buying and building what we could and then customizing where we needed to get the job done. And that's, I guess, spent 3 years with the SMA delivering events, concerts, football, cricket, and was bitten by the bug, probably a bit of a glutton for punishment with, greenfields construction sites and jobs with pressure.
Yeah, sure. And so what's with that, where it is today, Adelaide Oval, after all this work done, what are some of the new features that you can experience, that fans can experience now that weren't possible just about 10 years ago? Adelaide Oval's increased the LED capacity, so there's new bowl experience. We're in the process of updating all of the infrastructure. So everything I'd installed in 2013, I was fortunate enough to be awarded the job to replace it all and work with the Cisco team again to install a new convergent network, new IPTV, new back of house Wi-Fi, new phone systems, and so on. We're extending into the hotel. So back in 2013, there was no Oval Hotel, there was no LED ribbons all the way around the venue. There was limited, in what we could do at the point of sale, which we're evolving as we speak. So it's a lot more that's coming nowadays as we've come out of COVID into what we're looking forward to the next couple of seasons here. So there's some for allow you to do these sorts of things. So there's some emerging technologies that you've been able to tap into more recently that you can utilize that are going to make certain things possible for you fix it up with your own work here, really, which is probably quite helpful. You can sort of just, you've got the background, you understand where we are today. But what are some maybe the emerging technologies you'll be able to utilize?
The emerging tech that we're being able to utilize is probably that core infrastructure network. It's not the sexiest stuff from a fan engagement perspective, but it's, having a solid background, having a solid foundation to build on, looking to, increase mobile apps and Wi-Fi coverage throughout the venue, use of technology, trying to deliver a better fan experience is what it's all about. It's a bit of a challenge here, or in every venue really, is that
there's a disconnect between who owns the match day experience between the venue hirer and the sort of the venue manager. So that's something we're working on as well, and I think other venues will follow suit.
Interesting. I did want to ask as well, it probably touches on a more general question I had, and we spoke about it before we went to air. When you've got all these third parties with different, platforms, ultimately different data sets, different functions that are all required to work together to make this thing work. Is that purely a technological solution there, or is there something around getting everyone in a room and going, how are we going to do this? And that's as the, sort of the consultant with, pulling this all together. How do you go about that?
Yeah, it's absolutely. Everyone, for the state of, I guess, for technology to advance in Australian venues, all the people need to get in a room and understand what they want out of the venue technology, explain what the venue technology is. So as a consultant, I would sit down firstly with the venue as they own and manage the infrastructure, understand what they want to get out of it, and then help them to educate the clubs, the hirers, on how to leverage the venue technology for mutual benefit. Tommy Tavik might be a guest of yours at some stage. He's the CFO, Chief Financial and Commercial Officer at Adelaide Oval. His mantra now is everyone wins from a full stadium. So it's about how you work with your stakeholders to deliver that full stadium experience as often as possible. We're competing with the couch, we're competing with the rising costs of things. So it's about making it a experience every time you come to the venue, regardless of if it's 30,000 or 50,000 people.
I really try not to mention COVID every episode, but it has been such a disruptive thing. But but there's some good stuff come from it. But you just sort of mentioned there that you're competing with something different now. Sort of the viewing habits of would potentially be crowd members. How has that changed? Because ultimately, the behaviour changed, right? The psyche of somebody going, I've got pretty good viewing experience here now on TV and I don't have to get up. How do you, that means, the fan interactions, the technology becomes all the more important for when you actually go to the venues, rather than just walking in, sitting down in your chair, it's freezing and you watch the game. It's all this other stuff, how has that changed? Has it pushed you to extra, to a further boundary, or has it made you innovate and think outside the box a little bit more? Or is it just purely a challenge? You're like, geez, this is actually quite difficult now.
I think technology has opened up some new opportunities in this space. I think more and more clients and venues and clubs are working on, embracing that. Not everyone will come to the game every time, but they still want them to be a fan. They still want them to be part of the action. So it's about, how do you continue that educational piece? How do you continue to be in their pocket as part of their match day experience? How do you encourage them? All right, you're having people around at your house, you got to watch the game. How do you bring the match day experience back to those people there, whether it be ultimate commentary is a new technology that's coming out that venues might adopt or clubs might adopt, where it's not your usual Channel 7 broadcast, it's some couple of comedians or on the radio, able to actually deliver some insights into the match, more enjoyable for the younger audience. It could also be just providing updates and information about what's happening on the ground, which they might not get from Channel 7 or Fox Sports coverage or KO Sports, and really giving some behind the scenes insight like you are here. So it needs to be embraced. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think there will always be that competitive nature. The hardest part would be for how do venues compete with the couch, because the clubs can reach out and talk to their fans and their members, but what do venues do? It's more about enticing them back to the venue, trying to get people in, trying to show them it's a good time, it's money well spent, good value for money, and you'll make memories.
Yep, great shout. You've done that before. So recently you went on a bit of a fact-finding mission in the US. And in terms of, venue technology, there's some absolute benchmarks there. Tell us a bit about that. What'd you do? Why'd you go?
Wow, it was a whirlwind trip. We went Dallas, we saw the Cowboys play. Dallas Stadium was unreal, huge screen, couldn't tell that it was 10 years old, suspended from the ceiling. We were able to go to the corporate suite experience where you can order merchandise and food and additional bits and pieces to the suite from just scanning a QR code. We were able to view the Dallas Cowboys is probably the cream of the crop. They have the highest number of value team from a sponsorship and commercial value. They had 7 people creating content for their IPTV environment, 3,300 screens around all their properties. So it was singing and dancing. Like that was sort of the benchmark of what the digital signage system can do, what the Wi-Fi capabilities are, and so on.
You would have been heaven. You would have been in heaven, mate.
Yeah, like it's hard. Like I got asked, what was your favorite venue? And it was like bits from all the venues because they were all very cool.
Yeah.
The Cowboys match day experience was like, you know, the kickoff isn't packed because everyone's out there tailgating, and then they all come in afterwards. They had white flags on their seats. They were spinning them around. That was unreal. From there, where did we go? We went to, I want to say San Francisco. So we went to San Jose, saw the 49ers play. That venue, once again, they did the national anthem better than I've ever seen. You know, the USA flag dripped out across the whole pitch. They had a jet flying over, fireworks at the end of the peak of the anthem. It was just, they had hair stands on your arms type experience there. They do patriotism very well. They also, you know, great sound system. They had a DJs playing while the build up for it. It was quite an experience there. From there, we went to, I want to say, Denver, may have been the third stop. It was October last year. It's been a bit of a blur since then. So Denver Broncos Mile High Stadium. That was great. We got to see behind the scenes, the production suite, go out on the field before the game, the day before the game, and take it in. It was an open air venue, but they had, you know, probably the best Wi-Fi experience out of all this. One of the best Wi-Fi experiences between them and Allegiant. It was seamless. It was fast. There was no dead spots. We were just able to roam. They also had all the toys when it came to point of sale and concessions, and you're sort of managing the concourse area or food and drinks everywhere. So that was really eye-opening. And then and that was probably the main parts of those stadiums. From there, we went to Allegiant Stadium. Allegiant Stadium is in Las Vegas. So we got to see, it was actually Notre Dame, depending on how you say it, play. So that was a college game. So how the venue was able to adapt to a third-party hirer, they were still able to turn on their light show and use the mobile apps to engage with the crowd through the big screens. It was great content. The LED was singing and dancing. So the menu boards and were all lit up as well. So they had some great stuff going for them. And then I think the last stop off was SoFi. So we got to go see the $1 billion stadium. The roof was, another $1 billion to put on top of it. They didn't open it, even though the conditions were perfect, because the home coach said, no, I want it closed so he could control the kicks. And it's unreal, but that was a different experience. Again, they had more LED than any of the other venues there. They had quite a neutral concourse, but then they had massive bars with sort of 20 screens end to end on them, just serving their customers. A lot of venue treatment, but it was very sort of minimalistic from a stadium perspective, very clean, very, very neat. A lot of different experiences across there. But I guess the one big takeaway for me was being on a Cisco tour, and Adelaide Oval was invested in Cisco, as have Optus Stadium, the MCG, I believe Marvel, Sydney Football Stadium. So they're quite, prominent in our area. Is that all of the venues in America had the same underlying infrastructure we have here? The same networks, same switches, same IPTV systems. Some of them just had greater Wi-Fi. So that's sort of the next cab off the rank for Australian venues, is to sort of follow suit with what they're doing Wi-Fi wise if they choose to.
Good to hear. I will look forward to seeing some of that stuff implemented over here. It'd be great. I will put you on the spot here, though. Based on all these, you just sort of said, what was your favourite venue? And you said bits and pieces. Let's create Steve Frost's ultimate venue, right? So let's call it three different aspects or technologies or, whatever that between, your top three, and create your ultimate arena or stadium. What would be those three things from where?
So AV, I'll group them, light and sound. So when you're in the venue, the sound builds the atmosphere, the music, sort of that party vibe is built up. It's not a rolling, display of PowerPoint slideshows on the IPTV. It's creating content, creative content. It's engaging. It's making use of more than just one TV screen. It's a more captivating experience that way for sight and sound. The second one would be mobile. I think mobile plays a huge part. I mean, American venues are going down the path of no paper, only needing a mobile to get in and around the venue, don't to transact on, like you have to have your phone. I think we're a long way off that in Australia, but I think that the mobile experience will continue to play a more important part, from mobile ticketing, engaging with customers to incentivize them to come early for a discount happy hour, asking them to stay late, getting them engaged with the crowd experience, picking tips, picking which team's got to win, being part of a light show, really showing your colours off. The ICC did this really well during the World Cup. But yeah, they had a lot of engagement, a couple of light shows happening in Melbourne. So I think we'll see more and more of that. The last one would be the back of house or the operational technology. That's the sort of the tools and systems that allow the back of house staff or the clubs to interact and engage with you as the fan. So, they're systems that control the mobile push notifications, and they control how your experience is being impacted as a punter. So, a future world will see Callum Chambers go to the G. He'll scan into the members section. His contact there would know that he's scanned in. He's arrived at the venue. They have his seat number pulled up. They can send him a complimentary drink on the house, or ping him a note to say, hey, let's catch up. I'll meet you at this bar for a drink.
Cool.
If Callum's been there for a certain amount of time, they can incentivize him by saying, hey, come to a party suite, an open corporate box, or come, we know you've sat next to these guys before. They're over here now. Would you like to go join them? And really tailoring and customizing the matchday experience for both corporates and general punters alike. I think that's going to be the next iteration.
Wicked. So of those three areas, AV, mobile and operational technology, from what you've seen out there, who does the AV the best?
Are we talking Australia or?
Anywhere in the world. You just been in the US, you just brought up that. Might be there, might be Australia, wherever.
I think so Allegiant Stadium did the AV the best. I haven't been back around to the recent venues in Australia yet, but Allegiant Stadium, the sight and sound was unreal.
Yep. Mobile?
I'd say I really liked how the Cowboys did it. The Cowboys, and even Denver to an extent. Denver had the technology where if you were on Verizon Mobile, they'd put you onto their Wi-Fi straight away. So Hotspot 2.0, what are you going to call it? So that was very cool. They had the ticket up on your home screen the whole time, so it was integrated with your mobile wallet really well, and you're able to enter and access the venue. Allegiant Stadium, how they just pulled out their turnstiles and just didn't have an arm on them, you just scan, you tap as you walk in, was really cool as well. It was all sort of temporary gating and things like that. So yeah, I can't pick one, but there's lots of cool things at different places.
It's very diplomatic. And finally, if you may not have the insight necessarily because it is sort of more back end, but the operational technology, what would you gravitate towards? Or at least you've been exposed of the ones you've been exposed to anyway.
Oh, look, I think, and this is not because you're having me on your show, but the work I've done with EngageRM back in 2013, really having seen other venues and how they manage their systems, I think that would be, from a CRM perspective, actually does wonders for venues when it's implemented properly. The ticketing integration smooth as well, so that really helps venue hirers. I think there are a lot of systems that still need to evolve, and things like Lava, which is a US-based company, and Phoebe, which is another sort of integration, data analytics, point of sale sort of ecosystem. They sort of aggregate data from everywhere to help tailor those experiences. So there's some big players in the game doing cool things at various levels of that operational tech.
So when you come back to Australia after a trip like that, and you're like, oh man, all right, what could I implement? And you pretty well said that, most of the technology is available, but, it's not always, that might not be the cash there, might not be the means of the knowledge, how to use it. Are you able to, is there a gap there between, actually being able to do it, or is it just a knowledge thing? Because you could come back fizzing with all these ideas, but just, not quite having the ability to do them here, or not?
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of opportunities to come. I think a lot of that will start with sort of that education piece that we discussed, bringing both the venues and the hirers and the stakeholders on a journey. I think more and more we'll see venues not just from hey, this is the format we need your logo in or your advertisement in to put on our LED and our TV and our website. It'll be more about, hey, this is how you can tap into our e-commerce platform and sell your merchandise at these events, and how we can get you from the concourse to the corporate suite, and all the ways that a future hire of a venue will be able to integrate with. So that's all the journey. That starts with processes and people and platforms really. So it's about just finding where the venue wants to start and how they want to start and what they're able to do. Like I said before, there's Adelaide Oval manages their food and beverage in-house. They have 2 home teams. Optus Stadium manages their food and beverage in-house. They have 2 home teams, but they have a third-party company, Beegis, who is responsible for the management of the venue. And you've got Marvel, which is managed and operated by the AFL. They've got 4 or 5 home teams across football and cricket. The G's got a bunch, and that's managed by the FCC. So there's all these different, limitations around what we can and can't do, and it's just finding the right balance and the right outcome for each venue. So it'd be very interesting, I think, over the years.
I think they just need to get in touch with the go-to guy for venue entertainment in the ICT world. I think that's Steve Frost.
Happy to have a chat. Yes.
There you go. There's your plug. You gave me one, so there's yours. And just on a couple of absolute benchmark venues, I'm doing a bit of research. Some absolutely incredible stuff happening in this area. Obviously the $2 billion Intuit Dome that the Clippers will be playing out of. Carbon neutral, will run on solar power and batteries. They've got a Halo scoreboard by Daktronics, which runs the whole way around the venue. 3,500 60-inch televisions, 233 million LEDs. It's all in 4K. I mean, can you even, in terms of implementing that, can you even kind of wrap your head around what it would take for that, for that to be possible? And if you do, it'd be good to shed some light on how that. I mean, that's just an enormous thing.
Yeah, a lot of fiber, a lot of cables, a lot of power, a lot of engineers, But AV is not necessarily my forte, but a lot goes into making that, and especially around sort of, Daktronics will not just be worrying about the screens, they'll be worrying about getting how you get content to that screen, and all the engine and the processing around it, and then how you get those feeds, from that on the corporate suite, on the scoreboard, through the corporate suite, through the concourse, what content goes where. It's a huge production. These production suites are just massive over there. So I can imagine that, that's going to be all singing, all dancing as well. I look forward to checking that out one day.
You and I can go. We'll go on a trip next year, I reckon. We'll go and check it out. It's for work.
Ned, you heard it here first, mate.
See how it goes. And the other one I saw recently, this year's Super Bowl's in Glendale, Arizona. Cisco and State Farm overhauled their converged network up at the stadium that can handle 53 petabytes. Now, if you're just wrapping your head around what a terabyte is, and for those playing along at home, it's 53,000 terabytes is 53 petabytes. And the human brain capacity is about 2.5 petabytes. So, I mean, it's starting to getting a bit crazy out there now in terms of how much power and connectivity you can get. What are the possibilities there with that sort of with that sort of connectivity? I mean, it's pretty unprecedented, right?
Yeah, it's unreal the way they sort of manage connectivity to venues over there. I think it's everything from uploading video content to all the formats, to downloading video content, streaming, different camera angles, interacting with clubs, Twitter, Instagram. Basically, they live on their mobile phones. American football's a stop-start sport. Super Bowl's probably the biggest highlighted event in American sports as it is. So they people video the whole thing pretty much from their seats and where they are. The difference, I guess, in Australia is America doesn't have sort of the blanket coverage like we have with Telstra and Vodafone and Optus. So they rely heavily on putting people onto their Wi-Fi to alleviate pressure on the telephone lines as well. So the telephone network. So that's something that doesn't really happen here. People are public Wi-Fi is not as a commodity as it is over there, whereas everyone goes there and has to connect. They want to get connected. They don't want to use their data. Data plans aren't the same. Data speeds aren't the same. So if you can go as fast as you can at State Farm, why wouldn't you connect and stream your experience to your fans?
Amazing. I mean, yeah, it's crazy what's going on over there, and it sounds like we're going to start to see some of this stuff. I know over in here in Australia, and some of the work you're doing at Adelaide Oval. So really excited to see what's on the horizon. Any sneak peeks around the Adelaide Oval in the next that might be happening in the next few years that you can shed some light on?
Probably the main one would be they're looking at the mobile experience. So that's something that will be updated relatively soon. But we'll keep quiet on that one because we're trying to do something cool with it. So
fair enough. I thought I'd try anyway. Fantastic. Well, I know next time when I go to the round one of the footy this year, and it'll be Geelong Collingwood at the G, I'll be viewing everything with a different lens now, Steve. So I appreciate your time. It's been fantastic to have a chat, get some insight on your trip in the US and what you're doing over here. So thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.